Greetings, brothers. Welcome to the Blood Angels Commander channel.
Hello, good afternoon. We got the release, finally, of the two new detachments. I was going to say data sheets. There's two new data sheets as well. So we're going to have a quick stream to cover these. These were posted on Warhammer Community this afternoon. So I think this has probably not been out very long at all, right? Let me just change my camera over. Yeah, posted today. Yes, today. I was out with my kids. Someone in Discord was like, the new detachments are out. I wanted to have a look at them, see if they look like they could be useful for Blood Angels, see if they look like they could be fun. I figure I'll miss something on my first read through. So hopefully you guys in chat will have noticed something that I haven't. And then if there's an interesting list or if there's interesting combos there, we'll get to the bottom of it, right? Trevor says, I've been trying to catch a live stream ever since I subbed. Woohoo. Hello, Trevor. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, Kraken Matt. Hello, Eternal Crusader. Rao. Am I ready to embrace the Iron Hands? I'm not entirely sure, actually. Like, I skim-readed all these while I was sat, like, in a ball pit with my kids. We were at the soft play today. It's the October holidays. So I skim-read them. So we're going to read them in depth this time. And we'll see... we'll see where we get to. Hello, Aradine. Hello, Matthew. Matthew says it's difficult to work if I stream during the day. You need to lock your office door, Matthew. Or you can just watch on the replay. It's not like it's not live. It's not like it's not recorded on YouTube for your entertainment later, right? Like, but hello. All right, so we were waiting for this, right? We were waiting for the new White Scars Detachment / Combat Patrol, and this is it. So, hadn't looked at this in too much depth. What is it? It's like Impulsor, 3 Outriders, a can on a bike. I think this is a named can, right? Like, used to be able to take cans on a bike. This is now the named can. We'll come back to his name later. And this is a group of Assault Intercessors. So this army used to get Advance and Charge. So I imagine they're still going to have that. I'm not going to read the rules here. We're going to go over and read them inside the actual detachment sheets. And then we've got this new Iron Hands character. Interesting weapon. Like, what on earth is that? I actually have no idea what that is. Alright, well, we'll see when we get to his data sheet. He's got Storm Bolter. Let's hope it's been improved since the standard Storm Bolter. Their combat patrol is really weird, right? Because nobody fields these Fire Strike servo turrets. Is that 10 heavy intercessors, a Tech Marine, and 2 Fire Strike servo turrets? I'm not sure I see the synergy in that combat patrol. Definitely not for Blood Angels. I mean, you could argue this combat patrol is okay for Blood Angels, and the Outriders are good, Assault Intercessors are good, and Impulsor is good. Maybe you could convert this guy on a bike into a chaplain or a captain on the bike for the next one. Again, I'm not going to read this here. We're going to go straight into the data sheets. So, and also, I don't really cover combat patrols, but there is combat patrol rules for these. If you want to be playing combat patrol, you can check that out. Okay, so I took ages to actually find this, right? Because, like, everything has changed in the downloads. So where this lives, if you're also struggling to find this, is it is within the faction pack of Space Marines, right? So it's like this 25 megabyte download, which is not ideal when you're trying to look up rules on the phone. And the thing about this faction pack is I do wonder if it's the... You know, there's 138 data sheets in the Space Marine faction pack. 188. And I guess 140 something of those pages is Legends data sheets. I kind of feel like they should be stored separately, like... You know, like, I don't want to be downloading Legends data sheets. Maybe that's just me being difficult. I am difficult. If you've never watched my channel, you will find out that I am difficult and I'm not easy to please. Okay, so let's start with a Hammer of Avernii. Double I, don't know how you pronounce that. So this will be your new... Do you know what? We probably have to look at the unit first, right? Because The interesting thing about these new detachments is, at least like Shadowmark Talon, the Emperor's Shield, and the Forge Father Seekers, all of these detachments now almost require you, well, they don't require you, but they kind of make your like chapter master equivalent model an auto include, right? It's a Lego sword, says Matthew. That, yeah, do you know what? That does look like a Lego sword, actually. Yeah, that's like when you step on it, you're like, oh my god, I stepped on a piece of Lego, isn't it? Like, I hope it's called the Lego sword, or I hope it's an anagram of the Lego on his datasheet. Anyway, do you know what? Let's start. Let's look at his datasheet first. And I went and got the MFM open as well. So just for clarity, this model, Canok Var is 100 points. So let's start. Sheet 14, Canok Var. Alright, so Canok Var is a toughness 5, 5 wound. I think he's essentially a Terminator, right? Yeah, he's a Terminator. So he is just a Terminator Captain, essentially. He still has a Storm Bolter. It still kind of sucks, 0 AP. He can sweep or strike with a special weapon. His sweep is like 8 minus 2, 2. Weapon skill 2 up. Sorry, just closing my door. And the sweep is 10 attacks, weapon skill 2 up, 5 minus 2, 1. Okay, each time this, so he's got feel no pain, 5 up on the model as well, 6 wounds. I think this is pretty standard for a Terminator Captain, right? 2 up, 4 up. I guess the 5 feel no pain is nice. I mean, that's kind of because he's Iron Hands, right? Iron Hands used to always have a feel no pain. That used to be their like detachment rule, right? They used to just have a 6-up feel no pain across the entire detachment. Alright, so each time this model's unit makes an attack that targets monsters or vehicles, the attack has lethal hits. So shooting and melee, lethal hits into monsters or vehicles. I mean, it's always useful if you're hitting monsters and vehicles with lower strength, which I guess you would be. Each time this model and unit makes an attack against any other units, you get sustained 1. So he's kind of like a pseudo-Terminator Librarian in that way, in that the Terminator Librarian can give you sustained 1. So sustained 1 when you're fighting anything else, lethals when you're fighting the big nasties. Cool. Okay, Cerberus Logic Engine. At the start of the declare battle phase, you can select one Adeptus Astartes infantry of your army. Until the end of the battle, that unit gains the Scout 6 ability. Cool, so we can just pick a unit that's infantry and we can scout. And then after both players have deployed their armies, you can select one unit from your army. No call out this time on infantry, so it's just any one unit from your army, and you can redeploy it. When doing so, you can set the unit up in Strategic Reserve if you wish, regardless of how many units are already in Strategic Reserve. Cool, so you could do something like, at the start of every game, you just take the biggest, nastiest Dreadnought you have. Thanks for subscribing, Stalin, and you just put it on the front lines. And at the end of the deployment phase, if you feel like it's not going to be viable on the front, you just pull it off, reserve it, or you go first, and you fly into the opponent's side of the board. So he's 100 points. How does that compare against a regular Terminator Captain? Regular Terminator Captain is Captain in Terminator Armor. 95 points. He's 5 more points. Lethals or sustained is kind of nice. I suppose the redeploy is kind of nice. A power fist or kind of a power sword, because that's essentially what that is. A 10 attack power sword with 1 damage. I mean, that's pretty versatile. Yeah, I mean, 100 points seems fine. 5 up feel no pain. It's just a Stormbolter. It's a pity. Like, Stormbolters just kind of suck. Like, they just need to have 1 point of armor penetration. I think if Stormbolters had 1 point of armor penetration, they might be a viable weapon. With 0 point of AP, they just kind of suck, right? Okay. Right, so back to the Iron Hands attachment. If this is Hammer of Avernii, right? So your detachment rule, each time a model from your army each time a model from your army with the Oath of Moment ability makes an attack that targets your Oath of Moment target, you can reroll wounds of 1. So this was hotly debated as well, and it was FAQ'd. God, I should have got the FAQ up before. Chat will keep me right. But this will stack with a +1 to wound from Oath of Moment, correct? Because you are not any of the Codex compliant chapters, right? So you will get +1 to wound into your Oath of Moment target. You reroll wounds of 1 into your Oath of Moment target. Kyle says, I think this guy's lore is that he's the most cybernetic Iron Hands around or something. I don't know. I've never heard of him before. I've never seen him before, but does he look very mechanical? Hard to say, I guess. I mean, he's got a human eye in there, definitely. But I mean, he could be iron all underneath, I suppose. Iron within, I guess. So we're going to get rerolls of wound of 1 and +1 to wound in Oath of Moment. And then this is what I was kind of talking about. Like, you kind of have to take this character. And all 5 of these detachments kind of have an extra rule if you take the named character. And I'm in two minds about this, right? Like, I think it's a cool reason. I think it's a cool idea to have, like, an extra rule if you have your chapter master with you. But it kind of also kills flexibility. In that, like, if you don't have this model or if you just don't want to feel them, you're kind of missing out on what is usually a very powerful rule, right? So his rule, once per battle round, after your Oath of Moment target is destroyed, if Cantor-Var model is your army on the battlefield, select one enemy unit visible to that model, and you move your Oath of Moment target. I mean, that's huge. That's so powerful. If you've played Ultramarines with their +1 to wound into the Oath target, and getting to choose 2 with Guilliman, like, Guilliman's 350 points, and the reason you pay 350 points for him is because he lets you choose 2 Oath of Moment targets. Fair enough, Guilliman doesn't need to see them, but this is still crazy powerful. I mean, he's a Terminator. He can probably be somewhere he can see enemy models. Remember, too, if you take the other named characters, some amount of data sheets get +1 OC. Yeah, we'll need to talk about that, right? Because there is another Iron Hands character, Forge. I forget his name, but I mean, we can talk about that in a minute. So Iron Hands is just completely different to what it was before. I mean, I guess it's not called Iron Hands. This is a completely different detachment called Hammer of Avernii. The Oath of Moment rule is very strong, and moving your Oath of Moment is very strong, and only costing 100 points to do so. Very, very good. I mean, just imagine in a battle, you pick an Oath of Moment target you can kill in shooting, you kill it in the shooting phase, and then you pick his charge target, because he can see his charge target, you would assume, for Oath of Moment for the combat phase, right? So you've got a bunch of Terminators charging in there, rerolling all hits, +1 to hit because they're Terminators, rerolling all, or wounding with +1 to wound, and then rerolling wounds of 1, right? Like, it's just very good. Alright, enhancements. Add 1 to the attacks characteristics of the bearer with melee weapons. Once per battle at the start of any phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. Add 1 again. So that's super similar to the Shield of the Emperor enhancement, which was, I think, exactly the same. You just give 1 extra attack to your leader once per game. You can give it to the whole unit, right? I mean, it feels like that should be on a squad of Terminators probably, or 10 guys. I mean, you could possibly put it on like a Judasar with Blade Guard. Just a unit with lots of melee attacks. This is just a huge buff for them, right? The Roar Aura is pretty interesting, but also pretty niche, right? Like, when an enemy unit within 6 of the bearer fails a battle shock test, they instantly lose 1 model. And once per battle, when an enemy unit fails a battle shock test within 6, you lose D3 models, excluding monsters and vehicles. I feel like this one will be hard to trigger, right? Like, I'm just not sure. I feel like this is worth it. Someone in chat, tell me when this would be worth it, because they have to fail the battle shock within 6 of your model. So again, it would need to be on a strong, durable character, and I feel like this detachment is possibly, like, if you've got the double Oath of Moment, you're possibly more shooting detachment than a melee detachment, right? Because you're just going to be like, I shoot this unit, I shoot that unit. 2 unit. When you have Oath of Moment on 2 units with just +1 to wound, excluding the wound rerolls, you kind of almost become a shooting detachment. You know what's interesting as well is actually this would be crazy good with Stern Guards, because like Stern Guard are very, very good into the Oath of Moment target, but you kind of had to, before you had to pay 350 points to bring Guilliman to move the Oath of Moment target. Well, now you just pay 100 points to bring this guy and you move the oath of the moment target. And Sternguard are very average until they can shoot the oath of the moment target, and then they're bonkers strong. Another thing that's very good with this, imagine, is a Vindicator tank, right? Because if you do a Vindicator tank, you reroll all hits. Because it's strength 14, it literally wounds everything on 3s anyway. You're getting +1 to wounds, so you wound everything on 2s, and you're rerolling wounds as well. So Vindicator tanks are ridiculously good in this detachment if they can shoot the oath of the moment target. Because they're just rerolling all hits, and essentially they're wounding everything on 2s and rerolling all wounds, right? Like, I don't think there's anything the Vindicator tank doesn't wound on a 3, which means you're wounding on 2s, you're rerolling everything. That's bonkers strong. Maybe there's something that's -1 to wound. Alright, sure, you're only wounding on 3s, but you're still rerolling 1s. Still very, very reliable. Iron Laurel. Improve the objective control by the bearer of 1. Once the battle at the start of this phase, you can use that again to boost up OC, so you've got potential to take like a Terminator squad, throw an Ancient in there so they get an extra point of OC, and then have this, in there as well, so you can basically like boost your Terminators to 30 OC. Probably feels pretty niche, but it feels like you could also just throw units on the mid, like throw Cantorvar is a Terminator. You kind of want them on the battlefield. You kind of want them in the middle so you can see lots of things. So maybe you just take 10-man Terminator squad plus Cantorvar plus an Ancient, and you just fucking turn 1. Deep striking, or I guess it would be turn 2. Either you advance into the middle. I mean, you could technically use Cantorvar to give his own unit scout. So you could scout and then run into the middle. So you're in the middle from turn 1. You're a ridiculous OC in the middle. You're reapplying your Oath of Moment targets. And you bracket out with some Vindicators. I mean, there's some cool options here. And then finally, Steel Front. On a Terminator only, while the bear is leading a unit in your command phase, you can return 1 dead model to that unit. Oh, I prefer that, actually. Like, alright, so Cantorvar and a Terminator Ancient with 10 Terminators. And you're in the middle of the board, and the second they kill a Terminator, you just bring one back to life. Yeah, okay. So, and you need Cantor to see everything anyway, so you can reassign them with the moment target, right? Possibly. So some decent enhancements. Do we have the costs of these enhancements somewhere? Are they in the MFM? Avernii. Hammer of Avernii. Yeah, so Iron Laurel, 10 points. That's the objective control. And I mean, to add an extra 10 objective control to a unit for 10 points is pretty great. The Aura one, which I think is the worst one, is 30 points. Spiritus Firm? I don't know that word either. God, I wish they'd use words that I knew. 25 points. And Steel Front, 15 points. 15 points to potentially bring back... Like, if you get to bring back a Terminator every time, that is 175 points of Terminators you are bringing back to the table. Yeah, that's good. That's worth 15 points. Yeah, I'll take that one. Steel Front. Why on earth is this 30? Jeez, oh, what am I missing? I feel like it's terrible. They have to fail a battle shock within 6 inches of you. And there's no it's not like Dante where it's like -1 to battle shock. It's just like they have to fail it. Benjamin says, afternoon, John, listening while soldering pipes in the airing cupboard. That sounds fun, Benjamin. I was surprised they went with a First Company knockoff instead of Iron Hands. Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty similar to the Emperor's Shield, honestly. They could potentially wipe a 3-man squad. Well, yeah, I mean, it could potentially wipe a 3-man squad if the 3-man squad ever needed to do battle shock. Within 6. Like, it's a weird one, man. Benno says the flesh is weak. I don't know if you're being serious or apparently just trolling them. Apparently the only organic part remained in his body is his one eye. Does he not need a brain? Like, this is a genuine question. Do Iron Hands replace the soldiers' brains with iron? Can they do that? I actually don't know. Surely they need a brain. What movie was that where there was a brain in a jar? God, I can't even think what movie that was. Oh, it was Red Dwarf. That was it. He was a brain in a jar. Surely they can't replace their brain. Anyway, okay. So that's the points of the enhancements. That's the detachment rule. I guess we have to look at the other Iron Hands character, because he's going to synergize into this detachment a little bit, right? And his name is Forge. Is it not like Forge Father? I honestly cannot think what his name is. Someone help me out. He was in Codex Space Marines, right? It's not John Cena. I'm pretty sure it's not John Cena. Can't see me. Jeez, oh man. I can't see it. Feirros. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like Forge Father Feirros. I'm not seeing it. Where the hell is my Codex Space Marines? Do you know what? I'll get it from the app because it's probably out of date on the Iron Father. I've got it. Thank you. Iron Father Feirros. Right. Iron Father Feirros. What was he? He's a Gravis character. He was 95 points. He can lead aggressors, eradicators, or heavy intercessors. Toughness 6, 2 up save, 6 wounds. He's got a bolt pistol and a sustain. Basically, that's a heavy bolter, is it? A heavy bolter with sustain 2. His melee is like... yeah, I mean, it's like he's a tech marine, right? Like, he's got strength 7... -2, 2 damage, 6, and then the 2 extra attacks from essentially would be a servo arm. He gives the unit the 5 up feel no pain ability. That's pretty cool actually on Gravis, because there's not many ways you can do that on Gravis. Could be cool on aggressors or eradicators, to be honest with you. That's where you lead it, right? Aggressors, eradicators. I mean, it could be cool in heavy intercessors, but I feel like 5 up feel no pain on Gravis would be pretty cool. In your command phase, selected, yeah, so you're just basically repairing a vehicle. You're getting lone operative when you're near a vehicle. While this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly vehicles, units, it has the lone operative. Yeah, so the model has lone operative, but the unit itself does not. And if you include this model in your army until the end of the battle, heavy intercessor models from your army have OC3 while they're not a battle shot. So you can potentially lead him with heavy intercessors, or you just, I guess that's why their combat patrol has heavy intercessors in it. So heavy intercessors are just bringing a lot of OC to this detachment. Okay. Nothing is harder than teaching an Englishman to speak English. I resent the fact you think I'm English, because I am not English. And do I sound English, man? No. But yeah, I'm bad at English. I am 100% bad at English. I agree. Okay, we know what Armor of Contempt is. Ruthless Butchery. And I did look at these. Some of these are interesting, some of these not so much, right? In the shooting or fight phase, a Dreadnought, a Terminator squad, a Blade Guard squad, a Stern Guard squad, or a Vanguard veteran squad, until the end of the phase, each time the model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. If you're below starting strength, add 1 to the wound roll as well. So you'd probably be wanting to use this on something like a Dreadnought, right? Like a Redemptor Dreadnought. Something that's durable, is going to live for a bunch of turns. +1 to hit and +1 to wound on a Redemptor Dreadnought would be very good, because you probably end up hitting on 2s and you're wounding pretty well. So that would be good. +1 to hit and wound on a big squad of Terminators as well. I mean, that would be good as well. I mean, the Stern Guard veterans seem like a strange choice, because they're probably going to get to reroll all hits and a bunch of the wounds anyway, because of the Oath of Moment stuff that you're probably going to want to synergize with them. But yeah, I mean, this could be used to improve your Dreadnoughts. No, it's fine, Kenneth. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. For the record, I'm Scottish, though. And if there's one thing Scottish people hate, it's being called English. And it's a long story. Okay. Dominator Beacon. in your movement phase, Dreadnoughts, Terminators, Vanguard Veterans, Sternguard, or Vanguard Veterans. Sticky objectives for all of these units. It's really interesting that they didn't give the sticky objectives to like the heavy intercessors. I think that would have made all the sense here, right? Because it wants you. Yeah, you stumbled on some history. You really did. It feels like this detachment wants you to take heavy intercessors. So I feel like we could have removed all these other units and just put heavy intercessors in here. And I think this could have been a great stratagem. I suppose if you're fielding a bunch of dreadnoughts and stomping around the battlefield, being able to sticky an objective once you've taken it is probably going to be pretty useful. Jesus. Yeah, see, I can't do English. You're right. Cogitated ferocity. Cogiated. I don't know, man. I'm giving up on ferocity. I'm just going to call it ferocity. All right, again, fight phase. Again, these units. And that's something that a lot of these new detachments have done. It's like they're really trying to pigeonhole you into some specific units, aren't they? So you can get either sustained at 1 or lethal hits until the end of the phase. Melee weapons equipped by models in your unit have the selected ability. So Vanguard Veterans are super naughty. They already got lethal hits. So they could take sustained on Vanguard Veterans, but they're only 1 damage. You could take lethal or sustained on Sternguard, but they're not a melee unit. I feel like Dreadnoughts do not have enough melee attacks to be viable for sustained or lethal hits, because you literally get 5 attacks. So it really comes down to Terminators or Blade Guard, and get lethal hits and or sustained in melee. That's fine. It's decent. I don't think you're going to necessarily be feeling a ton of Blade Guard in this attachment. So maybe it comes down to like, this attachment is pushing Terminators and Dreadnoughts. But like when you have less than 5 attacks, sustained hits 1 is not really that valuable, because statistically you're going to get like, what, 1 sustained hit? You'd be better off using your Oath of the Moment. Augmented Fortitude. In your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy has charged you, again, it's a call out to these 4 unit types. Until end of the turn, each time attack is allocated to a model in your unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of the attack. So I think that's going to be the biggest. Again, it's going to be Terminators and Blade Guards. So Blade Guards seem like an odd choice for this detachment, but there's a bunch of stratagems that are going to make them better. They're going to get lethals, they're going to get potentially +1 to hit and wound, they're going to get -1 damage. That -1 damage for 1 CP is pretty good as well, because like if you look at like other detachments, they sometimes have to pay 2 CP for -1 damage. What about Brutalis Dreadnought? I mean, sustained hits is slightly better on the Brutalis when it swipes, but I feel like the Brutalis still only gets like 5 attacks, right? Like I could be imagining it, but it doesn't get a great amount of attacks for the 160 points you pay on it, right? Like, sorry, it gets 6. Okay. But I mean, statistically, you'll miss twice, right? Because you get 6 dice and you hit on a 3-up. So realistically, you're paying 1 CP for 1 extra attack. Like, at that point, it doesn't feel that valuable, right? Like, it just doesn't... And it just doesn't feel like... If you want sustained hits 1, you want a unit with 30 attacks or something. You don't want to use it on a unit with 6 attacks. Brutalis is whiff too much. Yeah, I agree. I took a Brutalis to a tournament recently and I hated it. It couldn't even kill. Like it killed. I think on one of my charge turns into death. What they call the Deathwing veterans. It killed 1 Terminator. Right? Like it killed a 40-point Terminator. I charged. I fought first. I had twin linked. You know, I kill a single Terminator. It's pretty tragic. And then dropship extraction. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, 1 Terminator unit from your army. You cannot target a unit with an engagement range. Remove it from the battlefield. Place it back in strategic reserve. So I mean that's cool if you need to redeploy Terminators. So it's very different, right? Like I think that's the way to look at it. Is like, is this better at fielding Terminators than the Emperor's Shield detachment we looked at a few weeks ago, right? Like, I mean, Dreadnoughts get a few buffs in this detachment. Blade Guard get a few buffs, but it seems weird to be using Blade Guard with the Iron Hands, essentially. And Blade Guard do not have great strength, right? They got like strength 5 in this detachment. There's no lance stratagem. I suppose you could add a chaplain to the Blade Guard to give them +1 to wound. But it's definitely pushing Terminators. You can get -1 damage to the Terminators. You can give them sustained or lethal hits on the Terminators. You can give them +1 to hit and wound on the Terminators. So I don't know what a list would look like for this detachment, right? Like, and that's where you guys in chat are going to help, right? Vanguard Veterans getting lethal and sustained into the Oath sounds disgusting. I have a soft spot for Vanguard Veterans. I use them with Flamers and Salamanders to farm dev wounds with immolation protocols. Yeah, Vanguard Veterans get 4 attacks per model. They already have lethals. I think my issue with Vanguard Veterans, again, is probably comes down to their strength being low. You could attach a chaplain, right? You could put a jump chaplain with Vanguard Veterans. Not that many people do that, but you could. Is that right? Yeah, so you could lead 10 Vanguard Veterans with a jump chaplain, and then you could give them sustained, and then you could give them -1 damage when they get attacked. Yeah, maybe I was underestimating the Vanguard Veterans. Maybe they're not too bad in this detachment. I'm trying to think. Vanguard Veterans are like, what, 190 points for 10 or something? Yeah, 190. I feel like you would probably need to attach a chaplain with a jump pack, so realistically like 265? 265, 40 attacks, strength 5, AP 1 damage, lethals, sustained. I mean, I like sustained hits when you have 40 attacks with lethals. That's good. So every 6 is a sustained and a lethal. And you have +1 to wound, and you can reroll all hits, and you can reroll wounds of 1 potentially. Yeah, I mean, a squad of Vanguard Veterans actually would be quite nice in this detachment. If you plan to shoot an enemy unit with a bit like a Vindicator tank or something, Vindicator and Stern Guard are going to obliterate this unit in shooting. Then my Kanto, or I forget his name, right? Was it not Kanto? Kanok Var is going to pick a different target, and then I'm going to charge them with the Vanguard Veterans, and I'm going to take all the Oath of Moment stuff. The army's going to be slow. Terminators, Stern Guards, Vindicators, Redemptors. So you add in some Vanguard Veterans for some speed. I guess you probably want some heavy intercessors in there as well. Do you know the one thing that comes to mind, or there's maybe 2 things that come to mind when I see this detachment is this is Iron Hands. So what I expect with Iron Hands is durability, right? Like I said, they used to have a 6-up, feel no pain across the entire army, and I think they could boost that with some stratagems. So they don't have that. And then the other thing I expect from Iron Hands is like lots and lots of shooting buffs, right? Because that's what they always used to do. They used to shoot. You know, it used to be God, I can't remember exactly what they used to do in 9th edition, but they used to shoot you really friggin' hard. Wasn't it like everything had heavy or something? So it was like you just got +1 to hit on all your models all the time or something. If they stood still, every weapon in the army was heavy or something like that. So it was just like the whole army was just hitting on 2. Anytime you could stand still, it was really, really good. Or maybe it was even they move and had heavy. I can't remember. But this seems like a completely different direction. I need to see a list winning. I need to see I need to see some lists. I need to see it actually do some tournament play. I'm not 100% sure I like this idea though, that we are advocating that you must take one of the special characters in the detachments. If the special character is good, that's fine. But And having a model that is good that you want to include is fine, but like actually having it that like your detachment is like significantly weaker without having this model. I mean, this is obviously something they're trying with the 5 new detachments. I'm just not sure I overly like it. Brian says Iron person here can verify. Yeah. I mean, I try not to get upset. It's fine. I think that's why GW gave the guy the ability to move units around the board to push people to use slow guys. It makes me miss the Library and Dreadnought. It's a 6-inch move on one unit. Because that's all it was, right? I think it was slide 14. 6-inch move on one infantry unit. Is that going to be enough? Pick slow. Like, that's not going to make me pick any Dreadnoughts. I don't know if I feel like this detachment has enough buffs for Dreadnoughts, and I think that's what... I mean, I guess there's been problems where, like we go back to last edition where Iron Hands are winning tournaments with just crap loads of Dreadnoughts. Maybe they didn't want to get a situation where Dreadnoughts were too strong again. I was hearing something about taking Whirlwinds in the new Iron Hands detachment. Something Oath, something plus to wound. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could take Whirlwinds. They're kind of expensive these days, but they would get reroll all hits, which helps a lot with indirect fire. They would get reroll or +1 to wound and reroll wounds. So your strength 8 suddenly, wounds a lot of things on 3s, I guess. A lot of elite infantry wounding on 3s. Rerolling 1s to wound. D6 plus blast. Yeah, I mean, you could do worse than bring 3 whirlwinds. It's an awful lot of points. 190 points. I guess if you take that weird battle shock enhancement as well, because infantry need to take battle shock tests, you can force some battle shock tests. I've got a whirlwind. I'm completely off it though. Like, I just don't know if 190 points. I mean, would you be better taking the whirlwind over Desolation Marines? I mean, probably. I guess it really comes down to the fact that you can... If you put something in your list that could help you ignore cover as well. Because I think the biggest problem with the Whirlwind is it's AP1. So you would probably want one of those... There's 2 ways to remove cover. You either take Inquisitor Kotias, or you either take the Hammer Strike. The cool thing about Kotias is he can remove cover without seeing the opponent. He just picks a unit within 18 of him. The problem is you would need to get him forward. I guess you could put Inquisitor Kotias into that unit you're going to scout and scout him forward. Yeah, there's maybe something there. I don't know. We need to see someone run a list. Alright, so that's Hammer of Avernii. That's the new character. Let's talk about the White Scars now. Suboden Khan. Page 16. Let's just jump to page 16. Okay, so this is the new... Hold on a minute. Is there a White Scars character already in Codex Space Marine?
Matthew Box donated $19.99 via Super Chat. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to help us to make us better. You are appreciated, BA.
Matthew, thank you so much for the Super Chat. Dude, you are appreciated, always sending Super Chats. There's a Foot Can that is absolutely awful, says Kyle. What's his name? Someone remind me of his name, because I honestly don't think I've ever played him. Which is funny, because I've actually played the Stormlands detachment a few times. I even took Stormlands to a tournament this edition. So I've played the White Scars all detachment to a tournament this edition. So with the Whirlwind Battle Shock, and then use the 30-point enhancement, you could force multiple battle shocks, which could make them lose multiple units. Potentially, right? But no, thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, what is this can's name? Someone tell me the old one. I actually have no idea. Should I just search can? Is it you going to be? Is this it? Caroso can. I don't know. This in? Robert says it's Caroso can. All right, yeah, I've seen this model. So is he actually a Primaris model, or is this still a Firstborn model? Well, he's on a 40mm base. I would assume he's yeah, he looks Primaris. Okay, right. Caroso can. I don't know this character, so let's just quickly recap on what he is. He's a bolt pistol, whoop-de-doo. He has a devastating wound power sword with precision, just 6 attacks. While this model's leading unit, ranged weapons, assault, and models in the unit have the lance ability. So he can give, he basically lets you advance and shoot, and then charge with +1 to wound. If you destroy a character, you gain 1 CP. If you include this model in your army into the end of the battle, Outrider squads have OC3. Oh, that's cool, I guess. So pushing Outriders. We really need more than one unit. The white, like, White Scars used to have, like, various fast attack options, and now they just have Outriders. Really need more than Outriders, I feel like. And he can attach to Assault Intercessors, Blade Guards, Company Heroes, Intercessors, Stern Guards, or Tactical Squads. Okay, but he makes Outriders OC3. So the new can is actually on a bike, and he has a heavy bolt pistol. Actually, good point. Why does the new Primaris can not have a heavy bolt pistol or an absorber bolt pistol? This guy got the shit end of the stick, right? Like, he just got the bog standard Firstborn bolt pistol. Like, when they were lining up to give them new weapons, this guy got missed. They forgot about him. Like, come on. This weapon is tragic. Okay. Anyway. He can lead tactical squads. Come on. Come on. Don't field tactical squads, dude. Do you know what? It wouldn't take much to actually fix tactical squads. Just give their damn bolters 1 AP, right? Like, why are they AP 0? Like, it's just annoyingly bad. Alright, sorry, the new can. He also has an Onslaught Gatling Cannon, 8 attacks. Hitting on 2s, I guess that's not too bad. Devastating wounds, 501. Again, I kind of feel like Onslaught Gatling Cannons are kind of garbage. Again, I think it just comes down to the fact that they really would be good if they had 1 point of OC. I think 1 point of AP. I think they'd be good. So his melee weapons, and he has 2. So you would be choosing 6 attacks, Strength 6, AP 2 with Lance, Anti-Monster, Anti-Vehicle 4-up. Okay, interesting. Or you're going with a Power Fist for 8 attacks, 5 minus 2, 1. I think for the most part, you probably always go with the Lance weapon. Even if you were fighting like 1 wound Eldari models, I feel like wounding on 2s would be better. That's a tough one, right? Like, I feel like it's not enough extra attacks with the Power Sword to ever really justify it over Stormtooth. I like that he's got Anti-Monster, Anti-Vehicle 4-up. That helps a lot, right? Just gives him lots of options, I guess. This model's unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn which it advanced or fell back. Cool, so it synergizes probably with a detachment rule. If that unit is already eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn which it advanced, add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for this unit as well. Cool, so it can be very fast. He also missed the bike. Yeah. You're right. He didn't. He missed his bolt. Like, he must have just been sick. He had COVID that week, honestly. Like, he had COVID. He didn't get his improved bolt pistol. He didn't get his bike either. Like, sad times. He did get an eagle, but the eagle's got no rules, right? Like, what does the eagle do for him? Nothing. Okay. I mean, he got an eagle. Okay. Each time a model in this unit makes a move, a normal, advance, fallback, or charge move, it can move horizontally through terrain features. So this is interesting. So this means his unit, What can he attach to? I'm guessing it's only Outriders. Yeah, okay. So his unit of Outriders, like I said, I feel like we need more biked infantry options for Space Marines, or more mounted options, whatever you want to call it. They can move through terrain. Apparently the apparently the Eagle had rules at some point. Okay. They've been lost to the dawn of time. Right, so he has 8 wounds. That's a nice number of wounds, actually. 4 up invuln, 3 up save, toughness 5, OC 2. So the Outriders he's attached to could potentially be OC 3. So even with just 3 Outriders, he's bringing like 11 OC. 8 wounds is very meaningful, I feel like. I don't know why he's got so many. I guess just because he's in the bike. Decent toughness as well. Kind of a good profile for Space Marine captains. And I did look, I think he's 115 points. So he is a little bit pricey. Where is he? I thought I looked. Soboden. Yeah, 115 points. So he is like... He's probably one of the most expensive characters we can have, actually, because, like, well, do you know what? Dante's 5 points more expensive, so he's on a par with Commander Dante. He gives the +1 to advance and charge. He gives shooting after falling back. He's got devastating wound. You know, I probably like his melee more than Commander Dante as well, because of the fact that he's got permanent lance and anti-monster anti-vehicle 4-up. And Outriders give him +1 strength and +1 damage on the charge. Very good point. So if he's with a unit of Outriders, he's strength 7 with lance, and he's flat 3 damage on the charge. And he's always going to be falling back and charging, so arguably he should always have 3 damage. Anytime it's your turn, I mean, you have damage 2 in your opponent's phase, in your opponent's turn. He's definitely not on par with Dante. I think he's better, right? Like, Dante can potentially do 18 damage. He will do the same 18 damage then. He gives advance and charge. He gives fallback and shoot and charge. That's a tough one. He's very good for 115 points, I think. Moving the bikes through walls is also insanely good. Yeah, I mean, it removes a lot of the negatives around taking Outriders. Like, Outriders are kind of cheap, 80 points. I guess the question is, Outriders are only going to be strength 5, AP 1, damage 2. So that if the detachment has a good way of buffing Outriders melee, then he's really, really good. If the detachment does not, then he's probably just okay. So let's look at the detachment, right? That seems like the next sensible point of call. We're on page 4. Cool. So Swift Storm Onslaught. Units for your army declare a charge in a turn which they advance or fall back. Cool. Advance and charge, fall back and charge. Simple. At the end of the fight phase, if someone can from your army is destroyed 1 or more enemy units that phase and is not within engagement range of 1 or more units, this unit can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. It's important that they said normal move here, because that was like his ability lets you normal move through terrain. So if you're on the center objective with Outriders with him, and you mop up the unit that's, let's say, on that objective, after you've consolidated, because you still would be allowed to consolidate if you win a combat, you would then be able to make another move of up to 6 inches, and you'll be able to move Outriders through terrain. So you'll be able to hide behind walls, move out of line of sight. That's very, very good. I mean, that's as good as the thing on the other detachment where it was like +1 to wound, reroll wounds of 1, right? Like it's just yeah, fire and fade essentially, right? Like in previous editions, when you used to do that nonsense where you could like consolidate 6 inches and you could like jump onto an objective, wipe the enemy, and then consolidate your whole unit back behind the wall so that they were back out of line of sight. Like, how powerful was that? I think it was so powerful they changed it, right? If he and his Outriders die, you have no rule. Well, sure. I mean, in the other detachment, if he dies, you have no rule. What is a White Scar unit? That's it. There's the 2 characters. That's all they have. They just have the 2 characters, Matthew. You're 100% right. And the other character didn't get his bolt pistol or his bike because he had COVID. So it was really just this one character. I mean, that's being overly harsh. The other character has something. Considering your whole army has advance and charge, the other character, if he was leading like a unit of Blade Guard, your Blade Guard would have advance, shoot, and charge with +1 to wound. I think Blade Guard might be the right call to attach him to. Anyone in chat attach this guy to anybody? Who's he best with? I feel like Blade Guard being able to advance and shoot and charge wouldn't be too bad. I think Company Heroes advance and shooting and charging with +1 to wound might not be too bad. I'm kind of tempted to say the Stern Guard might not be too bad, or the Assault Intercessors might not be too bad. I actually think he's okay. How many points was he? 70 points? I mean, he's not super... And I mean, he does have devastating wounds, and he could pick out an enemy character with his precision. I think he's okay. I think we're overly harsh on him, right? Alright, Spear Point Paragon. Adapt as a starter's model only. Improve the strength and armor penetration of the character's melee weapons by 1. Each time the character ends a charge move until the end of the turn, strength and armor PP increased by 2 instead. I mean, that's fine. I feel like when you start increasing AP by 2, you're probably hitting people's invulnerable saves. An extra couple of points to strength maybe help take a power fist up to strength 10. So strength 10 power fist AP 4. I mean, it's better than strength 8 minus 2. It's fine, I guess. Maybe you put this on the chaplain on the bike. Maybe that's what you would do. So your chaplain on a bike attached to Outriders on a charge would be like strength 7. Damage 3, and this makes him strength 9, AP 3, damage 3. So probably a chaplain on a bike is the one that's going to want the Spear Point Paragon. So you're going to have the Khan with his 6 Outriders, and then you're going to have the chaplain with either 3 or 6 Outriders. Stormspeeder's Wisdom. This bearer's leading unit. You can reroll advanced rolls made for that unit. Cool. I mean, if you really read... You know, like, if you're... I can't get excited about that, right? Like, if you need to reroll advance, you pay a CP and reroll advance. I wouldn't be spending points on it before the battle. And it sort of start as model only. Ranged weapons equipped with this model have, by the bearer's unit, have the sustained hits 1 and ignore cover. Okay. So what would be good? Any Adeptus Astartes unit, sustained hits 1 and ignore cover. I mean, like, it feels like that's a Stern Guard ability. Like, Stern Guard already have rapid fire. This detachment, they're probably advancing all over the place. I mean, you could also put it on... trying to think like a unit of Hellblasters? Apothecary plus Hellblasters? I mean, it's not like sustained hits and ignore cover on their AP3 is pretty good. Apothecary and Eradicators to make them ignore cover and AP sustained. Yeah, I mean, Eradicators could go. I mean, I like that it's anything. Put it on any model, any character, anything you can think of. There's definitely got to be a combination here for Hunter's Eye. That's a cool one. I think it's going to benefit something with 2 or 3 AP the most, right? Like Hellblast. I've been playing Hellblasters and I've been using Kotias to ignore cover, and I feel like Hellblasters with AP3 are massively better than Hellblasters with AP2. So I think there's a sweet spot there at about AP2 or 3, where if you can ignore cover, that's very, very strong. And then finally, a mounted model only. If the bear's unit is strategic reserve for the purpose of setting that up on the battlefield, treat the battle round higher than it currently is. Cool. So you could bring in a unit of bikes turn 1 if you think that is required. I think I'd probably only run 2 units of bikes in this detachment, though, right? Like the unit of bikes with the Subaltern and a unit of bikes with this chaplain. Bikes are big and obnoxious, and moving them around places can be difficult. And they are only running chainswords on the bikes. Like there is no option. Like you can't even put a power fist on the sergeant. That's one of the biggest negatives about the Hellblasters is like you want to put a power fist on the sergeant and you just can't do that, right? All right. So we talked about we need to be able to improve the Outriders' damage output, right? And if there's a stratagem that lets them improve the Outriders' damage, then maybe this detachment is really good. We have the standard armor of contempt. We have spear, thrust, and saber swing. In the fight phase, select either lance or lethal hits until the end of the phase. Melee weapons in the model have this selected. If it's mounted, then you have both. Okay. So lance and lethal hits. That's something. You'd be getting potential rerolls from Oath. You could potentially get interest. I can't decide if that's enough. Lethal hits, Outriders, 4 attacks per model, 12 attacks per 3 lethal hits. I think we need a way to improve the Outriders AP, honestly, from AP1. That might be the biggest issue here. Mobile lethality in your movement phase. At the end of the turn, you're able to shoot in a turn which you advance and fall back. So you already have fall back, advance, and charge anyway. So this just lets you fall back and shoot. So if you're running Stern Guard or something like that, this helps the Stern Guard ever so much. Because obviously the Stern Guard benefit a lot in the shooting phase, and you can't be letting them getting stuck in combat because you can't do anything about it. Hunter's Instinct. This is a cool one, and this is similar to the Stormlance one. This is actually incredibly powerful. Basically, in your opponent's normal movement phase after the end, normal, advance, or fallbacks, if you're within 9, you can just make a reactive move of 6, and you can do that on any unit that is infantry or mounted. So bikers can move closer, bikers can move further away, infantry can jump on objectives, infantry can keep themselves alive. It's a very powerful stratagem. I really enjoyed playing it because I played this the Stormlance detachment GT this year. This is just a great stratagem. It's one of the best you can have because your opponent never knows. Like it's just hard for them to lock you down, right? They want to charge your Stern Guard. They move with a 9. You just move 6 inches away. Haha, you can't charge me, right? Evasive maneuvers in your shooting phase. 1 mounted or 1 flying unit until the end of the phase. Subtract 1 from the hit and subtract 1 from the wound roll. I mean that's decent, right? Like if they're trying to shoot your mounted units, which they probably will be, because you're going to run 6 or 12 Outriders, -1 to hit, -1 to wound. It's decent. There's nothing wrong with that. I think -1 to hit, -1 to wound is pretty strong, actually. And then withdraw or regroup at the end of the fight phase. Mounted or flying vehicles from your army. Remove them from the battlefield and place them back in strategic reserve. Okay, so you can throw your unit of Outriders back into reserve. I think my biggest issue with this detachment is going to be Outriders are going to be AP1, and you have no way of boosting their AP from my understanding, and I feel like AP1 probably just doesn't cut it. So you run your 2 units of Outriders, but they're only AP1. I'm trying to think how many points that is. You attach a couple of characters to it, you attach a couple of enhancements to it. I mean, I guess they can kill a lot of chaff, but they can't deal with anything stronger. So then we have to start thinking about what can we use to kill things that are stronger. Well, then I guess we come back to like Vindicator tanks. I mean, you could argue that a Storm Raven is a possibility in this attachment. I was going to say, if you want to play the Storm Raven, maybe, like now is kind of the time, because I really think the Storm Raven will go to Legends. I I think this detachment is going to have the same problems as the White Scars detachment in that it just doesn't have enough damage output / melee output to make it super valuable. Like, I think that's what I'm taking away from this. Maybe it's Outriders as the core of the army, backed up by Storm Speeders, Jump Pack Intercessors, and Gladiators. I mean, it's something like that, or it's something like a Storm Speeder. Sorry, yeah, like a Storm Speeder, a Storm Raven, maybe like a couple of squads of, or at least a squad of Sternguard, a squad of Hellblasters, the 2 Outrider units, some sticky objectives. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff that benefits mounted, but there's fucking 1 mounted unit in the entire codex, right? Like, well, I mean, I guess you could say the Invader ATV is mounted, but like, I think we're talking like, the idea is that they do mounted melee, and you only have Outriders that do that, and they're only AP 1, and I just don't know if I feel that that's meaningful enough. Yes, they can get lethal hits or lance, but I think if this stratagem had been increase their AP, like increase the AP in the fight phase by 1, that might have been better, because you can get lance from attaching the chaplain, and I think you get some. Don't we get something by attaching that character? What's his name? Subadin Khan? No, okay, we don't get something, but at least he's bringing the flat 3 damage melee. So I guess you use the stratagem to give his units lethal hits and lance. They need a Sanguinary Priest on a bike. You're not wrong, Rick. You really aren't wrong. The points of the enhancements are as follows. Huntmaster is 25 points. That was... Oh, let me go back to the right page. I think it was page 3. Or was it page 4? Huntmaster is put unit back into reserve for 25 points. Hunter's Eye, which I think is probably pretty strong, sustained and ignore cover for 20. Spearpoint Paragon, 25 points you're paying to get that extra 2. That's a lot, right? Like, you to get 2 extra strength and 2 extra AP on a character, 25 points. That seems crazy high. And then Stormseeker's Wisdom. Reroll advanced. It's garbage. I wouldn't ever pay 15 points for that. It's absolutely garbage. Like, you can't decide before the battle which unit's going to have the shitty advance roll, right? Like, that's just dead. That's just... Yeah, good luck picking the unit that's going to need the reroll advance before the game starts, right? Like, that's what command points are for. Nachutas' Outrider Sergeant should have the option to be equipped with a power weapon or some sort of lance. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, the Sergeant needs a better weapon. I mean, even if we had to pay 5 points or 10 points for that, I think you're absolutely right. The fact that the whole unit is just AP1 chainswords with 1 damage, it's too late in the edition for that to be exciting. Like, bear in mind, they are strength 4 if you get charged. They're only strength 5 and 2 damage when you do the charging. So arguably half the time in the battle, they're just kind of crap, right? Good afternoon, Wargsbane. So I think out of these 2 detachments, I prefer the Iron Hands one. I think I still... Like, if I was going to play any of these new detachments, I think Shadowmark Talon it was doing crazy well when I did the video on it 2 weeks ago. I haven't actually checked stat check. Like, is it still dominating? Does it still have a 60-odd% win rate? Let me just check real quick. Where are Adeptus Astartes? We're always down the bottom. You know, we're supposed to be the Emperor's finest. We're always down the bottom in terms of win rate, aren't we? Ugh. Anyway, Shadowmark Talon, yeah, look at its win rate. It's still bonkers. 48 people played it this weekend. It's got a 62% win rate. Stormlance is high as well. 20 people played it, 55% win rate. They're the only 2 detachments that have got over 50% for Space Marines right now. Forge Father Seekers is coming close to 50%, so that's an improvement, I guess. The Emperor's Shield detachment is doing quite bad. Actually, only 1 person played it. So I guess maybe it's too early. Not enough people have have given the Emperor's Finest, the Emperor's Shield, a run out yet. And I think for Blood Angels, it's pretty split still. Blood Angels, somebody actually played Lost Brethren this weekend, and a few people did. Angelic Inheritors had 41 players. Liberator Assault Group had 110 players, and they're both just teetering just under 50%. I guess one Mentalist played Lost Brethren and actually did pretty good. Be interesting to know who that was and what the hell the list was, because I don't think, like, week on week, we usually see nobody playing. Nobody playing, what's it called? Lost Brethren. Like, nobody plays it. Like, well, I say nobody. One person played it. There's, you know, like, there's... There's thousands of competitive games every weekend, and it's just this one guy that's playing it. The White Scars one is straight up better just because the Advance and Charge is still top tier, but both are going to make many waves. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Kyle. These two detachments feel like they are fine. Play them if you have the armies, if you like the models, if you want to get the new models. I feel like the Iron... I get you're saying the Stormlance one is better. I think the Iron Hands one is better, and I tell you why I think it's better is because... if you plant that 10-man unit of Terminators in the middle with the revive one every turn and the ability to move Oath of Moment around, and then you just line that back up with, let's say, a bunch of Heavy Intercessors and 3 Vindicator tanks. Like, we already established Vindicator tanks are going to wound pretty much everything on the game on 2s with a +1 to wound. They're going to reroll 1s. So it really comes down to, for the number, like, it comes down to when you're rolling the number of shots on your Vindicator tank, can you roll a 4-up so your Vindicator tank gets like 7, 8, 9 shots? Because if you can, it's going to be devastating. It's going to kill lots and lots of stuff. And then you're going to be able to move Oath of Moment around. So I think Hammer of Avernii might do better. But I think these two are kind of like, take it or leave it. They're not amazing. I feel like the biggest problem though is only having one mounted unit in the Outriders, or only one mounted melee unit in the Outriders. So cool. That was it. That was a look at the new 2 detachments that came out today. If you've got any questions, you can leave them in the comments section and I'll try and get back to you. I've got a couple of new videos coming out this week. We're actually looking at a Blood Angels tournament winning list this Friday. Because we've been seeing Blood Angels making some ripple. Some people are winning tournaments using Liberator Assault Group, so we've got that coming out on Friday. The White Scar is definitely not fun. No one plays White Scars to run a side grade to Ultramarines. You want a ton of bikes, the way they did for a few decades. Yeah, I think you're right. They just need more mounted options. Like, we can't just have one mounted option with no weapon options, right? Like, that'd be like saying to Blood Angels players, all you can run is Assault Intercessors with chainswords. Do you have a game tonight? No, Mike, because it's school holidays, man. So I've been looking after the kids all day. It's probably only a matter of time before my kids burst into the room to get my attention. So enjoy your afternoon, guys. I mean, I'm probably not going to play Angelic Host or Lost Brethren, dude, unless they get an update. Like, I don't really... I mean, I play competitively. I want to win games. I don't want to just turn up with a detachment that no one plays that's bad, right? Like, if I'm going to play something, I'm going to play that Emperor's Shield detachment because I think that just looks fun. I actually went ahead and made like 20 bolter Terminators because I didn't have 20 with bolt guns. So I've got 20 with bolt guns now. So I've got heaps over here of Terminators that I'm working on. So the next painting stream I'm doing, I'll be painting more bolter Terminators because, I mean, at some point you would hope that you can run Terminators again for Blood Angels, right? Good luck in your game tonight against Necrons, Mike. So thanks so much for tuning in this afternoon, guys. Have a nice afternoon. Do leave any comments, or I'm sure we've missed something. I'm sure there's a strong list somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I think White Scars are just crying out for more mounted units. Good luck in your game as well tonight, Kenneth. And I think the Iron Hands one is just a bit different. Like, Iron Hands used to be all about feel no pains and shooting, and that's not what they are now, I guess. So, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please do like this video before you leave. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye. Nope.